Welcome to Kiss Me, I'm Goan, or should I say, Kiss the I'm going kar. And this is a very special episode, I must say, because we are doing our first video, right?
Yeah,
And in a
yeah.
new studio as well.
Yes, exactly.
And an extra special because we got Karl
Yeah.
on the show.
So anything,
the FENI
anything,
guy.
anything that revolves around alcohol definitely puts it right on top of the list for me. So definitely, this show is number one right now.
Yeah.
The sad thing is we're not drinking over this conversation, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
think we
it's going to
should-
be exciting as well.
We should look at doing the podcast in the evening, actually.
Yeah.
Make it easier. But yeah, welcome to the show, Karl.
Thanks,
Welcome.
thanks.
Thank you for
Carl,
having me.
Welcome to Kiss Me, I'm Goan. As you go by your handle, you are the FENI guy.
The FENI guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, we would like to start off, Karl, with "Are you going?" So tell us a little
main
bit.
question.
Yeah.
I'm balding like Saint Anthony. So
You'll have to stand in
Tell
line,
me.
by the way. You're
by the way,
number
my
three.
first name is Anthony.
Oh,
Anthony
okay,
Karl.
okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. After the Sholem
Surname
Church.
is not Gonzalez. Huh? Okay. Fernandes. Yeah.
Fernandes. Yeah,
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 okay.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, Goan, but born and brought up in Bombay. So another term goes as Bingta.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm back to my roots now, based in Goa from the last 8 years.
And where are you
I'm
from in
loving
Goa?
I'm from
Originally?
Sholem.
Sholem. Okay.
Sodian.
Okay.
Okay.
And right now, but I stay in the south of Goa because I feel the north is
Too congested.
Yeah. I mean, I left Mumbai for a reason and not to stay in the north.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So that's why I love the south. And
And where in the south are you?
south right now, I'm based in Kolva.
Okay.
Wow, close.
But I like that Kolva Benaulim stretch. It just keeps the perfect balance of a little commercial and a lot more easygoing lifestyle. So
yeah.
what we say in Goa is Susegad.
Yeah,
Susegad,
it's very
yeah,
Susegad.
yeah,
I think North has become too hectic, fast-paced.
Yeah, it's on and off. There are still nicer areas like Moira and all is like really beautiful right now. It's just the right time to get in there. 2 years from now, it'll be like settle like South Goa kind of vibes. But spaces like Paga, Kalangut, Kandulam, I don't remember when I went the last time. Initially, I used to go when I came down.
Likewise.
But now I've
same.
never gone there now. But Anjuna is become, you can't, it is crowded, but it's got good crowd. It's got good businesses running there. It is one of the reasons that keeps the hospitality industry alive. So if there's evolution happening, it's there.
Okay.
And the ones that are wrong will go off. So every time the rains come in, it's off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ones that are not doing it right automatically get cleared off.
Yeah.
But in Baga, Kandulam, Kalangut, that area, the business is always there. So even if you're not up there, you can still survive.
Okay.
So that's how Anjuna, Morjim, these areas are evolving.
Okay.
It's the good businesses that survive and the new ones that come in for the next season. So that way it keeps a lot of work for us in hospitality to keep going.
Yeah,
Right,
good.
right. Oh,
That's
cool.
interesting. So what you're saying is basically there could be a restaurant up for like 6 months or a bar for 6 months in Goa, and then the next year if you come back, you may not even see it. at all.
Not see it if they don't do it
Wow.
right. Because Goa right now, the way bars are opening, it's more of a fad for a guy. Instead of getting a house,
Okay.
he'll say, I'll own a bar.
Is
rather."
it?
And that's how he would get a bar and invest in it,
Yeah.
but maybe not having the right background.
Correct.
And that's where it may go wrong.
Yeah, you don't get in the expertise. You just think
Yes.
that it'll
But
make money.
But is it the Goans opening bars or is it the
The
other
investment
people, other
mostly comes
Indians?
from outside.
Right. Okay.
There are a few Goans who run as well.
Okay.
But they, whenever an outsider invests also, they need local support. And that's why right now I completely base myself in the consulting business.
Okay.
So whenever these investments come in, they need someone from Goa or who understands Goa to be their partner or their consultant who can drive them through the business.
Yeah.
That's where they go wrong. If they take anybody who doesn't understand Goa or the business of Goa, that's where the business falls generally.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right,
this
yeah.
would mean like, for example, selecting the right alcohols, or I would say the fast moving ones or
So
brands.
it goes from all the way from property
Okay.
and what concept works for that area.
Okay.
For example, say like 2016, when I had come down to Goa, Asagao, had nothing. I used to have my driving classes over there, and it was the most emptiest road.
Okay.
And there was only one restaurant that used to run there called Gunpowder.
Oh, yes, yes.
The
Gunpowder.
only place where I would get a proper cocktail. There was this bartender who now works for Greater Than. Her name is Evgenia. And she used to make these amazing artistic drinks and present them. But that was the only cocktail bar.
Okay.
But it was the right concept for the right place. It was a very sustainable, eco-friendly bar that was run there and a restaurant that was run there that was kept completely silent.
Okay.
Now, if you go to Asagao, every house on that stretch is bought and made into a business. So
Really?
it's the most busiest and the most priced real estate at the moment over there.
Wow.
And the whole business
Asagao
sense
is-
has changed now.
Okay.
So nobody can run a place like what Gunpowder did now. Now it's become an upmarket game.
Okay.
And I believe real estate is very expensive there, right? In
Very high,
Asagao.
very high in Asagao. It just shot up in 3 years.
Wow.
And in the next 4 years that have gone by, it's at its peak now. It's more expensive than a Anjuna or Modgem or anything.
So just when you say it's grown, is it a lot of is there a lot of international crowd that's coming in, or is there a lot of Indians that are in that area?
So Indians,
Oh, okay.
upmarket
So
Indian
Indians,
crowds, because they are the guys who actually spend.
Okay.
But I
that's
think, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I see a downfall in international tourists. Now we don't get so much as compared to
It's because of the
yesteryears.
pandemic, and then we lost that rhythm. There were a lot of charter flights that used to come in, and it was a regular deal. And in the pandemic, for 2 years, it didn't happen.
Right.
Now, to rise that market again is taking time. And it's also, people don't feel the pressure. So what happened was, during those 2 years, the up market of India, or the consumers of India who couldn't spend outside and had that savings, all came to Goa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Goa exploded in terms of hospitality.
Okay.
So the best bartenders, the best bar teams, the best bar concepts started pouring in. And that's when we ourselves used to run a bar called Tejoro by Firefly back then.
Yeah. Tesoro, yeah.
It was ranking Asia's number 4 at that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I remember
because we had that market in
Okay.
at that point.
And I was surprised to see, I've been there like twice or thrice, and it's like the first upscale, nice bar in the south.
In the
like
south.
serving classy cocktails.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
It's-
there was a market for it. And right now, when the borders have opened, they're still in.
Okay.
Now, this season will decide whether we will still get those upmarket. And that
but
will
it was a
decide.
big risk, to open something like Tesoro in South. I mean, we would, we don't
It
live
was
there,
a risk, but I
would
mean,
think-
we did it during the pandemic, right?
Right.
So what better risk to take at that
Yeah,
time?
yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
you had nothing to do for in Goa, it was nearly 4 months. We were in complete lockdown. And after 4 months, it's kind of eased off, but everybody was eager to do something, right?
Yeah.
And I felt that was the right time for people, because you got their attention. Nobody was busy. So you got the attention of South Goa, and then you told them, like, if you want to enjoy cocktails, this is the kind of bar. Because the whole of Goa thrived on entertainment.
Yeah.
It was not cocktails or not the art
That
of
was never
drinking.
there.
Yeah.
I mean,
You could drink a straight drink, you drink your regulars. You go there to socialize, but also be entertained. So live bands was a concept, which is now, after the pandemic, it's settled.
Okay.
I don't see much live band acts. There were a lot of bands that were doing the best, but right now only the best are there, and they're very busy. So you don't get to see more of those acts.
I think it
nowadays.
has changed.
It has
It's a
changed.
shame because we were just talking about it a couple of episodes back where we said that the good old days, it was like you were saying, it was life was all about the music, it was about the bands.
Yeah, I mean, but it's sad
Unfortunately,
in a
yeah.
way. But I think everything has its time. It will come back.
Okay.
As this upmarket crowd that comes in now goes out from India, and you have more international coming in and the mixture, these bands will come up. It's just that break just changed the
Yes,
whole
yes.
system.
Yeah.
Because people had to find other things, and right now are continuing with it. But when the market is ready, I feel it'll be the right time they'll be back again.
Okay.
But it'll come in a new form. It'll not be the same old prices, not the same old style. I think it has to be a more, like, say we did it with cocktails at the bar, right? So someone has to do this with entertainment now.
Yeah.
Not the same old stage
Yeah,
and
yeah,
lights.
okay.
It has to be an upmarket game which has come from an international theme. Or maybe, like, I like this bar in Delhi called Piano Man.
Okay.
And
Is it like
they
a jazz bar?
Jazz bar.
Okay.
So I like that concept. So something like that, if it comes in, maybe it would. But we'll see. I mean,
Yeah,
We were talking to Anish. Anish is a
DJ, Anish
and
Kera.
also Goan from up north. And he was telling us that what was very interesting for me to learn from that episode was that he says that he can take me to a place in the north which has all different types of music. So music has grown exponentially in at least in Goa.
but from a DJ format, like in terms
yes.
of electronic music,
yeah,
in form of live music that we used to have,
Yeah.
has kind of faded out. And South used to
Yeah.
also. I mean, when I used to work with Donovan was Hansel's younger brother.
Yeah.
I used to work at this bar called Firefly. We used to
yes.
thrive on bands.
Yeah, it was a nice place, like live
Yeah.
music.
Live music.
Lovely place.
People in their 30s and above, majorly,
Yeah.
would be there.
I think
Families sitting
would
down.
you say the South crowd, they look forward to some live music rather than like a DJ playing?
So South crowd, easy to get entertainment. What happens with electronic music in the South is it takes energy too high.
Yeah.
And it filters off the elders because it's
Yeah.
not their thing. So you have this group of highly energetic to 20 or 25 to
Yes.
40.
okay.
And when you put them in a more compact room, there are brawls.
Okay.
And that's what South Goa is. So,
Gary, we just got clubbed into the elderly, by the way. He said 40, so we're
I mean, I don't imagine you all punching people. So,
Masti to burgo. But yeah, I get no. I always felt like
you undershot it by around 5 years, I think.
but I always felt that North was the place to go for partying
Parties.
and clubbing.
True.
But South has been like very slowed down, mellow.
still the same.
It's still the same.
Still the same.
Because we were talking about Anish. I mean, even I wouldn't think like a club would survive in the South.
In the South,
Honestly,
it's pretty
even
challenging.
Tito's opened. I remember long
challenging.
ago, and he shut it down. It was not working in the South. He thought it
South
would.
live entertainment
Yeah.
kind of works. Karaoke was booming at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was in Goa from 2000 till 2007.
Ah.
And it was the early starting days of my hospitality career. It was work hard and play harder kind of concept. So after work, after like a normal 12-hour day, it was a given that we were at the bars, and we were drinking, a couple of joints which were kind of familiar. And of course, karaoke. Of course, not that I could sing. I could not. I would put the place down. I think with there would be no business at all. But yeah, it was about that experience, which is what I wanted to ask you as well. I mean, has drinking, or let's just say, has the bar scenario in Goa changed from just the drinking to an experience?
Experience.
So
True.
it's become more
Very true.
experiential, right? I mean, when you
Yes,
consult, for
yes.
example, a bar in the South, you would want to advise them to have a little bit of an experience around the drinking, right?
So experience wise, it has evolved, but also entertainment wise, where you have music and you're just networking. So I'll tell you like 2 examples of bars like that. Like Hideaway is one of Asia's. They come in the top 30 in India.
Hideaway is where
It's
located?
it's close to Anjuna, like on the way to Anjuna.
Okay. All right.
It's in Anjuna,
Okay,
but not
okay.
near the beach sides. It's like more on the back road.
Okay.
And these guys started off as a cafe, went into entertainment, and now they've got this. And it's Goan
Right.
boys partner together running it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice.
And young boys.
Okay.
And with them, they eventually recently got this boy called Aditya, who's from Bombay but has been in Goa for a while. as a bartender to do their programs. And you had people enjoying drinks, also enjoying cocktails, mixed crowd, but people who love Goa in that way and really get that vibe. They do entertainments and things like that. But right now, it's become the cocktail hub of Goa.
Oh, wow.
Because they do like what modern cocktail world would provide. And people would be there enjoying. And after 11, it would turn into a party. People are dancing on commercials. All your jive songs and all of that. There's a lot of energy, like the proper what a Goan would like in terms of a party. And then there's this bar called Pablo's, which was
it's like that small
so
small
it started off with this guy called Anand. And from Kalangut, I think. So he was not his main business. But eventually decided that, there's this small tavern which is going to shut down. I'll take it. Put up a table, put the booze up, and you would walk in, you would be sitting there, and you're like, hey, hi, how are you? What do you have? Like, I'll have like a FENI lemonade. He's like, you can just go make it.
Oh,
so
wow,
go
really?
pour yourself. And it became like a very friendly bar. So good music. One of his partners is a DJ, so he would have a good list of music. And that's how it started. I did one of my first FENI guest ships with Kazula out there. And they loved it. And that concept ever since has been a thing that they go forward with. But not only FENI, with any brands. So it was just a friendly bar where people would come down, sit, have a drink, reasonable. So a tavern, but for the modern world, for the new generation. So he kind of modified it into that. Right now is the place to visit. So he's also got the backspace. He's doing a proper kitchen. He's got proper set of dishes. He's got a good guy who's joined him. His name is Tejas, again from Bombay, but has been in Goa for a long time.
Yeah, luckily for Instagram, I can see these things that, like all these bars popping up, right? So many of them. It's amazing.
No, but I mean, what's really interesting is the experiential thing, It's like
so you have two different experiences here.
You've got, because I have a lot of friends who will say, okay, where's the best place to go in Goa? And then you're always thinking, you want it to be something which is memorable. And I think the second one is, I'm sure, will be very memorable.
Very memorable, but also you want a little high energy sometimes to have a good night. So
Exactly.
So Hideaway is your good night space where you'll have memories that you'll be like, oh shit, this is what happened that day. And then there's this space where you want to just be like, oh wow, this is such a nice place to sit, hang out. I would love to work from here, just meet my friends. It's like a nice social networking space for the new generation of working guys who finish their jobs and come down here and just relax.
It's changing from work from home to work from bar, I think.
Wow, we should start that over here.
So like talking about that, there's this space which is called Barefoot in Parra, on the back road of Parra, near the church, right? Just behind the church. It's a co-working space. It's got a very nice bar, does good drinks also.
Otherwise, usually it's a coffee place. A co-working space would only
there's
have coffee.
But then
if you want to have alcohol,
I mean, we don't drink. You're saying in the evening, but we start in the afternoon.
So you start off with a cafe latte, and then you just put a little FENI in there.
Oh my god!
Call it an Irish coffee.
Irish coffee,
So coming to now straight away, I want to get to this, the FENI. So can you tell us a little bit about the history of FENI?
So this was in 2017 when I met Hansel. He told me that he read a few books and eventually somehow helped me figure out one. So I just searched the internet and found it.
And for those who do not know, Hansel Vaz is the owner of
Kazulo FENI.
FENI, yes. Yeah, please. Yeah.
So he inspired me through this. So I used to work for Diageo before, and I should learn spirits like the top whiskeys, vodkas, gins, but everything is still international, right? How good could you, like, if I take food, I like explaining things with food. So say if you're an Italian chef, however good you make that pasta, if you're having a face like mine who's Indian, that pasta is still going to be fine in front of an Italian who makes it, right?
Yeah, of course.
So the same thing that I was facing with whiskey and single malts and all of that was happening. I learned a lot of it, but how true could I be when a Scottish guy stands beside me and talks?
Right.
Right. So how far could I go with that? So I said,
Yeah.
you know what? In 2017, when Hansel introduced me to what FENI is, so I mean, family and all. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
you
there
grew
in
up
all
a
your
little bit,
parties,
yeah.
and when you have your cold, you have that one spoon, and all of that was there.
yeah.
But the way I got introduced to this, I just decided to leave all of that and get into this. And that was that book. It's called Itinerario,
Okay.
but which is written by this guy called Eugen van Linschoten.
Okay.
Okay.
It was written in 1586. I mean, that's roundabout where he finished writing the book.
Okay.
Now, this guy is a Dutch guy
Okay.
who, for roundabout, I don't know how many years, but he was in Goa for 5 years. What he did was so the Portuguese were found India and have been trading since 1505. So somewhere in the middle, this guy joins them as a as a secretary to the archbishop, young boy who was the secretary to the archbishop, and he wanted to travel the world.
Right.
So the archbishop was like his sponsor. He said, "I'll take you around."
Okay.
And they would travel the spice route, the Portuguese spice route.
Okay.
So it would start all the way from Portugal to Brazil. From Brazil, they would go to Africa, Mozambique, and then come to India, and then go all the way to Japan, Malay, and all these places. And he's mentioned and he writes what he sees. A beautiful writer. When you read his book, you feel like you're living real time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would love to get my hands on that. Yeah.
So, I mean, when I got these pages, it's too much to read, right? So I went directly to what a bartender would like. And I went directly to the ingredients. So he started writing about the fruits and the trees. And that's how I started reading about it, which he mentioned something like a pineapple. Now there he writes it as ananas. Okay. Now ananas is pineapple, which comes from Brazil technically.
Yeah.
So he says it's a fruit of Brazil.
Yeah.
But he doesn't mention it as pina. Brazil knows it as pina.
Right.
That's why pina colada.
Ah,
right?
Okay.
So, but why ananas? Why did he write it as ananas? And then if you check in the Dutch language, it is known as ananas. So what happened was this fruit existed in Brazil, but they couldn't get it all the way to Asia because as you travel by ship, it would get spoiled. So they would carry a lot of this, consume it on the ship, and the heads they would bring to India, and they found the soil was very familiar to Goa. And they started planting it here. And from here, they started taking it to the rest of Asia.
So you're saying it was all grown in Goa?
So we were really good farmers in Goa because we were anyways doing a lot of trade with the Arabs back then.
Yeah.
And we could mass produce in a way, like organized farming.
Yeah.
So that's why this fruit actually grew vastly over here and was a great medium for trade. And that's why even in our bar industry, we know it as the fruit of hospitality. But that's just pineapple, right? So it got me so interesting. I went to the next ones and I reached to where he mentions about the cocoa tree. So I was like, because there are no English terms for it. It's what they knew it as then. And then he mentioned the cocoa nut. And as I kept reading it, I understood this was the coconut tree. It had like a full 2 pages of the uses of a coconut tree from making books and where they made pages of it. And he also mentions that he gave it to some Costa over here where he writes a book for him, a small diary for him and gives it to him. Just because he liked that pages were made from the bark of the coconut tree. From rafts to ropes and why ropes and how people came here to fix their ships. Because ropes, coir made out of, like the ropes made out of it is, he mentions over there, it doesn't decompose in salt water. Whereas others do. So that's why a lot of ships would come here just to set up their, reconstruct their sails. So we were all doing all of this. We were very forward in our research and technology back then. So as I keep coming down, that's where he mentions about distillation. So it is where he mentions that these guys climb the tree, sit on top of it, and they tap the bud. The coconut tree, you'll see there are a bunch of coconuts together.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's actually one flower.
Okay.
So when a flower opens, there are a bunch of coconuts that
Yeah.
grow. Now, when that flower is a bud, it's like a really long green bud where the guy sits on top of it and then he processes it, where he ties it up with a rope
Okay.
and taps it with the back of his sickle. That's why he's called a toddy tapper.
Right.
Oh.
Okay.
So you'll hear this sound all the way, tuck, tuck, tuck.
Yeah,
tuck.
yeah, yeah.
So he'll tap it and he does this. He basically wounds it so that the sap increases in it. The juice or we call it nira.
Yeah.
So the nira, or in the Goan language, we say sur.
Yeah, sur, correct.
So the sur develops even more, and that's why the tapping process. And then with his sharp sickle, he'll slice it and he'll put a pot below it, which collects your what do we call sur, and then eventually becomes toddy.
Is it?
Toddy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was what we were doing first. We were not doing cashew feni first.
Okay.
We would actually.
But is it the same? Like I noticed with Kerala and all, they drink toddy and
So they drink toddy.
yeah.
What happened was Goa is a little ahead because we were trading a lot with the Arabs because we had a good port.
Right.
And again, the horses and all of that was important to us. So they gave us technology of taking wine a step ahead into distillation. And this is 1500, like in the 1500s, like 500 years back. It was the most valuable technology because you could drink wine and you'll have to drink like more than a bottle or so, or you could get a high spirit, which you could just have 2 shots and you're like happy high.
Yeah.
So that evolution was valued a lot, and Goa was thriving on it at that time.
Okay.
So the first distill of the toddy was called Fulla or Nippe. He mentioned as the book. That's what the common man drank, the first distill.
Okay.
The second distill is what, so out here, right now in Goa, we know it as Molop, the first distill. Nobody drinks it now. The second distill is what the upper class drank. And that they called it as Uraka. So he spells it with a U, but I believe it's pronounced as an A because wherever I see a U in the writings, the word actually translates to an A. So Uraka, but actually pronounced as Araka.
Okay.
And it's got nothing to do with the Arak in Lebanon.
So exactly. So
Okay.
it is Middle East technique that we've learned.
Okay.
So if someone says, what is this? Then you say, there was no gin, vodka, whiskey and all of that then
Right.
in the 1500s.
Yeah.
So you would say this is Arak.
Oh.
Okay.
It's hard liquor.
Okay.
So Arak actually meant hard liquor. You want to process it with anise, you want to put sugar in it, you want to distill it more. So Sri Lanka has it as Arak. So the word eventually evolved as they kept pronouncing it at different places.
Fascinating.
Oh.
So that's where we believe we learned distillation from, and that's where we learned the FENI making process. And that's the first history of it. Surprisingly, cashew, I have not come across heavy history yet. Hansel might have a few here and there.
Okay.
But still to come out when these guys decided to take the cashew fruit and say, let's make an alcohol out of it. So they're completely different. A complete different set of a caste that would distill coconut FENI at their homes.
Okay.
Whereas cashew FENI are done in huge landlord farms, where landlords said that we sell cashew nuts, which is a valuable ingredient. But the fruit could make us more money as well. So if these guys can do port wine and make brandy, why don't we use cashew apples because we don't have grapes and try make a wine? Maybe it didn't taste good. And then they said, let's distill it and make it into kind of a fruit brandy.
Okay.
So different people, different castes. It's not a toddy tapper who will be able to do cashew FENI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of
Complete
course. It's totally different, ball game.
So these distillation units have to be close to the source that they have. So cashew distillery will usually be near a cashew plantation. It will never be in a factory.
Okay.
The minute you get the juice, you cannot really transport it. Because again, it's a rule made by the government, and again, back then during the Portuguese era, to control standards and quality.
Okay.
Because cashew fruits really process really. They ferment really fast.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like a short history. I mean, I can just go on for
Yeah, yeah,
another.
yeah. No. We got. But what about that process of the Nero and Urak and
So
how
that's
does that?
cashew, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my first question to y'all,
Oh my God, there's a test.
test.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've tried cashew nuts.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've tried cashew fruits.
Yeah. I've tried.
Yes, I'm sure I have not that I
But
remember. But
what's the criteria to try a cashew fruit? You've got to go all the way to a plantation, right? Why don't you see a cashew fruit in a supermarket? Have you tried it?
No,
in a
I never
yeah.
seen in a supermarket. No,
yeah, that's
no.
true.
Any thought to it?
Yeah.
Because you'll get a watermelon, you'll get a pineapple. I'm talking, this is trade back then.
Yeah.
So why, from 500 years, why didn't anybody decide like, oh, let's transport cashew fruits? They're yum. I mean,
Yeah.
the juice is really nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why no one did that?
You
And
couldn't.
why are we sitting with FENI?
Yeah, that's a good question. I never thought about that actually. Like some
Could it
people
be?
have brought it.
Yeah. Could it be that it's a seasonal thing?
It's a seasonal thing, but there are seasonal fruits like that, and this is a good 4 month season, like from Feb to May maybe. So
You can't preserve it, or
you can't preserve it. That's what I was looking for.
Oh damn it! Carry on. I was racking my brains over here and I lost you. Okay, go ahead. That's 1-0 for you, Carrie.
I told you to have that coffee. So yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so
Interesting point there.
So what happens is the cashew. Now a little scientific out here. So whenever you see, like on the cap also you can see, right? The nut is out here.
Yeah.
So this is the fruit.
He's pointing, but guys, he's pointing towards Carrier when he said that.
Ouch, darling. Very ouch.
So the nut is the fruit.
Okay.
Okay. And what happens is the sugars do not enter like it's a defected fruit. So
Right.
it doesn't, the sugars don't enter the fruit. So it starts collecting in the stem.
Okay.
So whenever you get a chance during the season, if you go to Goa or if you go to a cashew plantation, you'll see the nuts that are big and green, and then you'll see the top of it, the stem, that suddenly starts swelling. And you can see on a tree, they are at different stages, right? So you could see that are big, there are some that are small. So the sugars start collecting in the stem.
Okay.
Okay.
And that becomes the pseudo fruit.
Okay.
Now, that pseudo fruit doesn't have the protective covering that an apple or a mango or a pineapple or a watermelon would have. It's a vegetable, but with high sugars. Now, a vegetable has barely any fruit.
Yeah.
Tomatoes also are fruits. They have longer life.
Yeah.
But you think of mint, basil, coriander. These don't have much life. You leave them at room temperature, they'll decompose very quickly. Now, imagine that with a lot of sugar. That means even more vulnerable. So the minute they fall, they begin to decompose.
Okay.
So you have just 1 day to process it immediately.
Oh.
So that is why this evolved into the process of making FENI. How would you make use of that fruit?
How do you give life to it, kind of, right?
And our ancestors were like, let's take this leap of imagination and let's process this in that way. Because it must be some really strong Bhatkar with a good business mind. It's like, how do we make more money?
Okay.
It's like, I can't sell this fruit. I can't make juice out of this. The wine doesn't taste good. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's distill it.
Kudos to that Bhatkar.
Yeah. Oof, my God.
Whoever thought about it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, that's like a eureka moment right over there.
So the neuro is.
So what happens is I'll tell you the process now. So the fruit cannot be plucked.
Okay.
If you pluck it, they all look soft and ripe and shiny and glossy.
Okay.
But if you bite into a raw fruit, you could lose your taste buds for nearly more than a month.
Whoa.
So the only way to know...
That feeling of like your gums are dry and...
Yes, that means you've plucked the fruit then. So
Okay.
you've got to... Or you must have even picked up maybe some that may be not completely ripe, but must have fallen with the wind.
Right. Yeah.
So the only way to know if the fruit is ripe is by picking it up from the ground.
Okay.
Because ripe fruits fall.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the process. So they use this equipment called the canto, and these guys are called kaskars.
Okay.
So they'll pick up these fruits in the basket, bring it, stomp it. So that's the process where they separate the nut and the fruit.
Right.
Okay.
They stomp it, and the first press usually goes into fermentation.
Okay.
And then the second press is where they collect the pulp, and they'll put one of these huge laterite rocks on it.
Okay.
Get a heavy guy like Hansel maybe. Stand on it.
Or
As
a
you
job for
watch.
me.
Okay.
So that's the second press where they stand on it, and then there's slowly so what happens is in the first press, your that deek that is there, the sap,
Yeah.
that gets washed off,
Okay.
and when they do the second press, you get more lighter, less astringent juice, which is Nero.
Okay.
And this you would usually roundabout everywhere in Goa get around 5 o'clock if you're close to a distillery.
Okay.
So the distillery that we have in Consaulim, which is called Fazenda Kazulo.
Fazenda Kozulo.
Yeah. So there, you'll see a line at 5 o'clock, and people sometimes fighting for Nero.
But Nero, correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't have alcohol, right? It's
no,
non-alcoholic.
It's non-fermented. It's just
yeah.
fresh, like freshly
fresh.
juiced.
Yeah, fresh.
If you
juice.
leave it even for a day, it will ferment. So if you have
Okay.
your bottles tight, it will pop, just like toddy.
Okay.
It will pop. So
Alright.
you finish it that very day. It's like your boost of sugar for that day, but also very high vitamin C. So the cashew fruit has more vitamin C than an orange.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Very
That's
high
a
vitamin C.
interesting fact
Yeah.
for our
there's
show.
a really interesting fact, yeah.
People have a glass of it every day. I mean, imagine when you're working in fields, and so these are near farms, right? So the
Yeah.
people who usually farm or have a heavy day's work are the guys who actually will stand in that line, and that's like your boost of your Red Bull for the day, kind of.
Yeah.
series.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Ah, so
Makes
Goa's
sense.
own Red Bull, huh?
Yeah. We got our own. Yeah.
We
Red
just need
Bull.
we need your marketing, and we're done, Carrie.
And then when Urak comes in, now that's
So,
the drink.
so
I
what happens is
forward
then this guy puts it into a pot, the distiller. Like our distiller's name is Anton. So Anton will take
Hey,
the first press.
We have a weatherman named Anton. Anyway, that's a
Weatherman.
different. Yeah. So carry on, yours.
So he would put it into these fermentation pots, which are half buried into the ground to control temperature.
Okay.
And there's a 3-day fermentation that happens. And then, so he will find out whether the process is ready by just putting his ear to the pot. He'll
Wow.
bend down, ear the pot. The sound of the bubbles tell him whether it's ready or no.
Okay.
So if there are bubbles still coming, means the fermentation process is on. So it's around about 3 days. Then he'll take it off, and then he'll start the distillation process,
Okay.
where he'll put in the wine, and he'll light the fire, seal the pot. There's a whole condensation process, the regular distillation process that happens. And the first distill that comes is Urak. So basically, say, if I put it in maths, he puts 80 liters and keeps the heat on high heat for, say, around about 8 hours.
Right.
He will get around about 20 liters on the other side
Okay.
on an average. And that is your first distill.
Okay.
And again, there's no, like, whatever else that you would try as a commercial spirit, say a vodka, gin, whiskey, rum, what happens is they're triple distilled or distilled at a very high ABV,
Okay.
like 60-70%, and then watered down.
Okay.
These are primitive style spirits, the most exotic style that you would get right now.
Okay.
So Urak is distilled directly to drinking strength. So if
Okay.
it's around about 20% or so,
Okay.
and it's distilled in such a way that it'll stop at 20% ABV. So
Okay.
there's 20% of alcohol from the fruit and 80% of water from the fruit. That's why it has this very floral, tropical note to it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can't. Like I mean, it's difficult to sell it in a mass level and bottle it.
Urak cannot be bottled.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of it in a way. Imagine if you got it throughout the year, that whole craving of it would go.
Yeah.
So what happens with Urak is, so another question.
Okay.
Okay.
This time Neil should get it right.
Oh,
So
I'll have to cheat.
okay. Why do we not have any spirits that are below 35%? I'm not talking about liqueurs. I'm talking about spirits. Vodka, gin, rum. Why are they all at 40? What's the problem in having something at 20? Not because we want to drink stronger. Maybe that's a marketing thing that is into our head. But
Okay.
why is nobody doing a 20% alcohol?
Sorry.
Jeopardy
Other
round.
carry is googling.
If only I knew there were questions, I would have come more prepared.
Wrong answer. No, yeah.
So what happens is alcohol cannot retain its esters, so these floral notes. Like say gin, for example.
Yeah.
So gin has these botanical oils that are present in it. That's why you get that juniper and all of
Juniper,
that.
yeah.
They're redistilled with that. Now these oils cannot stay into it below 35%.
Oh,
Okay.
A good infusion rate would be around at 60-70%. So that's where your whiskey is put into barrels at 60-70% and then watered down based on what you want.
okay.
So what happens with Urak is it's so floral because it has so many esters and congeners, and so that's why it has so much of character.
Okay.
But because it's at 20% and it's summer, even if you keep it in your fridge, it'll last for only 2 weeks. That's why you would all see these signs of fresh Urak. Everybody will be like fresh Urak, fresh Urak. Because fresh Urak will have those esters.
Okay.
The minute it goes flat, there's a term that they use called pochak.
Okay. I think
just
we
like
all
the
know
sound
that.
of
What it is. Oh my God. But I've seen people who like they're kind of preserving the Urak in the freezer or something like
Freezer could help in a way.
Okay.
But again, when we drink Urak, it's only a common man who'll drink like a quarter or so.
that. Yeah.
Us will drink at least 2 liters. We'll share between us for sure because it's again low ABV. You'll drink more of it. So how much can you store into your freezer?
Now, I'm just thought of, when my dad, back home, he used to drink and we used to have this garafon, right?
Garafon.
With, I think that was Urak with orange peels in it.
That'll be FENI.
That would be FENI. Okay. Okay. Just checking.
Because Urak again will not be able to absorb those flavors of orange. So
why the
usually it would
peels
be
were in?
coconut FENI. So it would be coconut FENI usually. So what happens is like you see Dukshiri here, right?
Yeah.
So coconut FENI again was something 500 years back and it evolved. And I said it was heavy technology at that time that was being used. There was a lot of demand for it.
Right.
Traders used to take it for gifting all the way when they wanted to enter China and also by road.
So he used to go to all these other countries.
Yes. He's mentioned it over there. In 1586, he's mentioned that carry a few bottles if you want to get into like Bangladesh, China, from there, Bhutan and all these places. So at checkpoints you could get through.
Yeah.
So that was his tip and all over there.
Okay.
So what happened was because there was a lot of FENI sitting around, these guys decided to redistill it for, say, in a way, health purposes. So I never like saying that alcohol, but that was the mentality of how they use those ingredients. So they would redistill it like a gin, but a single botanical. So they would do ginger. They would say it's good for your cough.
Okay.
And they would call it Ale.
Okay.
So Ale FENI was very famous. South knows it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then there's Gonjan, which is lemongrass, good for cold.
Okay.
While the whole of India had Jeera water, we had Jeera FENI.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like that, they had this orange peel. Then there's Sidra, which is citron.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's these big citron limes that come. Where the skin is aromatic, there's a huge rind, so you cannot use the fruit, but the skin is very aromatic, more aromatic than lemons.
Okay.
So they would redistill that. You'll get like a Sidra FENI, which is a lime FENI. There would be like if you, if you're fighting with your wife,
Yeah. Okay.
there's a garlic FENI. You could have that.
Where do I get that?
Wow. Garlic FENI. Oh my God. I can't imagine. Keep the vampires away.
it's easy, but I mean, FENI is very strong in the sense that
No,
they say
it's
that
strong over here.
no, in the sense,
clean.
no, in the sense, I mean, you know that everyone says that okay, you sweat FENI out. It's a smell kind of thing.
Not
Yeah, that's another thing. Why that smell?
debatable because see again, people don't understand this process is primitive, but also has not evolved commercially also in terms of value. It's something that you will not get in the next few years, but those guys who produce it are farmers.
Okay.
The amount that they make is barely anything. So obviously they'll try to increase the produce.
Okay.
So when you heat it a little more, you get a little more fusel oils,
Okay.
which you could sweat off. That's possible.
Okay.
But again, then there are like right now, FENI has evolved, right? I mean, I've been looking at it from 2010 when I was legal drinking age. So
Okay.
so from
Alright.
then on, I moved over a beer and went a little more into spirits, and that's where like my parents and all got me to try it. They would all have their favorite distillers. You're like, oh, I get it from this Vado. This uncle makes it great. Then my dad will be like, yours is nothing. This one is
Yeah.
all of that would be there. And then I would be like trying, oh, I'm getting into bartending. I should know all of this and all.
Right.
So if you have your favorites, those guys like now say Hansel and all have evolved into keeping consistency and making it right. But yes, you could move a little here and there. You could get a bad FENI. So I have people who come for tastings, and a lot of people who've tried FENI in 2000 to 2005 or before that, I've said, oh, I had FENI, I had a bad experience.
Yeah. A lot of them I've heard this.
So that happens, but again, it's natural. I mean, everything will be good and bad around.
Right. Yeah.
If you go through advice, you will always end up with a good product.
Correct.
But when you say it's strong, right? It's not strong. It is what the ABV is at 40%. So it is what a gin or vodka or a rum or a whiskey is at. What is strong is the character.
Okay.
Like I said, the distillation process. So after Urak, they'll put more Urak in. That pochak, when it becomes pochak, they put it in. They'll add a little more wine to re-enhance the flavor. So they want the flavor. They don't want it to taste like a vodka.
Okay.
They want it to be like that, because imagine back then you didn't have measuring meters and all of that.
Yeah.
Like the guy wanted to check the ABV, he would like pass it from glass to glass and see these bubbles, and that would tell him the strength.
Okay.
So a layman, how would he know?
Okay.
That is with the punch.
Okay.
Then and they don't drink. They never drank it with limca back then. They drank it straight in Karl, these short glasses, chai glasses that they had.
Yes.
India might have chai, but in Goa we had FENI.
Yeah, my dad would have it in a small glass.
Small glass.
Yeah,
So you have it
Karl's,
straight up. I mean, that is strong. That is strength. That is power, basically.
Right.
So they needed their FENI to be like that.
Yeah, which brings me to my next question. And since you tipped about it, so what's the best way to drink FENI? Because there's a lot of people who say, oh, I have it straight. A lot of people who say that I prefer to have it with lime, water. And then I think a lot of today talks about limca and stuff like that.
I think everyone has their, but yeah, would love to
I
know.
play
Karl's.
this game with people. I love this question. So whenever someone says that, right? Like, I mean, you're Goan and you're nice. So I'm being nice to you also. But if someone says FENI strong, I say it's based on how evolved your palate is.
Okay.
Right. So I was saying that people used to have it neat back then, and it was a showcase of power and how powerful you are in a way. So what happened was this whole industrialization, mainly from Europe, that came in, went into triple distilling and multiple distillation, and vodka and all came. They made spirits lighter, easier to drink. And they started mixing it then.
Okay.
And that's where mixed drinks, cocktail culture and all came in 1800s.
Okay.
Before that, people used to drink neat.
Okay.
Now, and they all had this, no water added.
Yeah.
Now they went, when you triple distill or you column distill, it goes to 96%. Then you water it down.
Okay.
Right.
So that made the spirits very light.
Okay.
And that's what the palate is at.
Okay.
So an introduction drinker would start with a beer, maybe finds it bitter initially, and then it's the lightest and most refreshing drink after a while.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right now, if you want to start with a beer, I want to start light, I'll just start with a beer and refresh myself. Your palate has evolved. That bitter hops that is there, that makes it bitter, is not bitter for you anymore. Then you go into, say, drinking rum and coke or a whiskey cola or something like that. That's your college, little ahead of college phase when you're in your third year or something.
The old monk comes out.
Yeah, old monk or something like that. So you would sweeten your drinks.
Yeah.
Right.
Then slowly you'll add soda into it.
Yeah.
Then slowly you'll do it only with soda.
Yeah.
Then you'll do it with soda and water. Then you'll do it with water. Then that water becomes less. Then there's only ice. Then the ice goes. So that actually is your palate getting tired. getting more and more tired and cannot feel flavors and want something more powerful, more stronger. And that's how you evolve it. My answer to your question is enjoy it the way your palate is at the moment. It's like your phase. Imagine if you were in college and you started drinking single malts. You've lost that whole fun phase of yours.
Interesting. Yeah,
Right?
true. Very
And
true.
imagine drinking cocktails when you're 50. You've not evolved then.
Yeah.
So you've missed that fun phase anyways.
Yes.
And now you're trying to get to it at your 50s where sugar is not good for you.
Yeah, true.
And
It's very interesting because sorry, Parik,
Yeah.
because what you're saying is exactly my evolution of alcohol. So it's like I started off with the beers, and then I got into the old monk, of course, college days, rum and coke and stuff like that, and then gradually moved on to the whiskeys and stuff. And then right now I'm feeling a bit old saying it, but I'm into sipping whiskeys more than I'm not looking for a mixer. That's where I really want to have, if I'm having a whiskey, and then even if I'm having
flavor,
and a little bit like on a off day, I'd write like a wine glass and stuff, because I'm actually yearning for that, the flavor.
I
in the
understand that
alcohol.
completely.
I
I'm
feel
still not at
old.
that phase, by the way.
But man, the amount of drinks you might have had, has it like confused your palate or something like that?
I never forced my palate. I have
Okay.
like a lot of friends of mine who like love drinking neat and all. I don't want to get there so soon.
Okay.
My game is around cocktails. What I explain people is cocktails also have many layers to it. But you take your time in evolving into it. So FENI, being that exotic primitive, like old style spirit, it is still too young for the palate to be drunk neat. Even if you're a sipper. Even if you're a sipper and you drink your malts neat, until unless you're having something as powerful in character like a mezcal neat, maybe you could have cashew.
Okay.
Because cashew has this punch of that tropical summer fruit.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And it's very funky in nature. And that's our Kazulo tagline, by the way, making
Right,
FENI funky.
Okay, okay.
So it's easy to introduce it to someone through a tropical cocktail. So I would do like guava, so Bloody Marys, but with guava juice. So guava, chili, salt, just with lime. A nice guava Mary for your brunch. I would do like martinis. I would do like a simple pineapple pepper. So just put fresh pineapples, shake it up with lime sugar, crush some pepper on top. Yummy.
Nice.
And I would do like, say, one of my favorites is guavas again.
Yeah.
But just like this is now modern technique, right?
Right.
So I need the spirit to be stronger.
Okay.
But I also need it to be masked a little bit around. So I would combine guava and sugar, leave it for a day, then pour FENI into it, leave it for another 12 hours, then add in some acid. So instead of putting lime juice, you get this malic acid, citric acid.
Correct.
So you combine that into it, and then you pass it through a coffee filter. You'll get a nice clear drink, and you just stir it over ice, and do a chili salt rim and pour it into a nice scoop glass. So it's a short drink technically. You've just added 10 ml of guava flavored sugar,
Right.
and maybe 5 or 10 ml of acidity to it, because acidity kind of cuts off the bitterness. That's why all your cocktails are sweet sour.
Okay.
So sugar elevates flavors. So again, another example with fruit, say watermelon. I get you the best watermelon. You cut it into half, it's nice and red. When you bite into it, if it's not sweet, what comes into your mind? This watermelon is not good.
Yeah.
The more sweeter the watermelon, the more flavorful it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cashew FENI is the replica of the fruit without the sugar.
Okay.
So a nice tropical sugar flavor to it elevates the fruit back again.
Right.
Okay.
And then it's like you're eating the real fruit, but maybe with a little bit of guava note. There's no harm in it. And then it also, the acidity cuts off the alcohol anyways is technically ethanol, which is not good for your body, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's your body saying it's not good, it's bitter. Bitter is a sign that it's poisonous.
Correct. Yeah.
So it says it's bitter, but then the world created bartenders, so we add acidity to it, make it balanced. So that's what balance is.
Okay.
So you have the right amount of sweet sour, a nice elegant sipping cocktail that you could enjoy. That's how I suggest people enjoy your cashew.
Okay.
Sweet sour, tropical summer fruits. So kokum goes well, jamun goes well. These are all summer Goan fruits. Mango, jackfruit, guava, I just said, pineapples. And keep them light. And then a little bit of citrus. So any form of citrus, orange juice, lemon juice, grapefruit juice.
Okay.
These are great combos. Any citrus, anything sour goes well. And then spice. Now, spice, people get it wrong. Generally, when I say spice, people think it's star anise, cinnamon, cardamom. No, those are sweet spices.
Yeah.
That would rather go well with coconut.
Okay.
Hot spices like
Alright.
chili, jalapeno. So mango jalapeno is a great combination with this.
Right.
Like I said, pineapple, right? Pepper. So it's again a hot spice. So that combos work with cashew.
Okay.
With coconut, I like to have it with soda.
Right.
I call it the skinny Goan,
Okay.
where you just do like when you want to go low cal,
Okay.
just do a small of this. It has acidity into it because toddy gets really sour.
Right.
And at a point they didn't know how to use it, so it turned into vinegar. And then from the Portuguese trade influence, we learned the art of vinegar. If you notice, in the whole of India, nobody really uses vinegar.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
us
yeah,
only
it's
who
only-
have it
It's
into our
only us.
dishes.
Yeah.
And in storing your sorpatel, one
Yeah,
of my
yeah,
favorite
yeah,
dishes.
Yeah.
And that vinegar plays your game.
Yeah.
But eventually we learned in the middle that if you distill it in 3 days, you could get of coconut FENI, but it has this acidity to it, a vinegary acidic note, which is not bad, which is very good.
Okay.
So again, it's like adding lime to your drink. And it has a little fermented note, which brings a little body and funk to it,
Okay.
but also vegetal in nature.
Okay, I think we
We
are
run out
running
of time,
running
yeah.
out of time.
I
But
know, I
just
could
a quick one
notice that.
before closing. Just a quick one about Japan. We know you went
Yeah,
to
we were
Japan for the
excited about
master. We
hearing
were
a little bit.
excited. So, what was the feedback? Did they love it? I know you did like a FENI masterclass.
So my whole confidence to go to Japan came from a friend of mine so me moving to South Goa, I apparently met someone who came to the bar over there. Imagine if I was anywhere else, I would never meet this person and Japan would never happen.
Yeah.
Her name is Miho. She is a travel writer.
Right.
So Japan, the government sends her to research about India and things like that.
Yeah.
And
got it.
to write about, so she's trying to grow the sochu world over there, or sake world of Japan.
Okay.
So it's their indigenous spirits and wines that they enjoy there.
Right.
So she wanted to come and understand the gin culture that was growing here, and apparently she crossed over FENI.
Okay.
And that got her very excited. So we took her to the farm, we told her the process, she tried the drinks. I was still just started working on those drinks. So those drinks were pretty easygoing. So Urak season was there then.
Yeah.
Made a nice slushy and gave it to her with Urak, and she loved it.
Okay.
That's where our relationship started building.
Okay.
And because of her, one of the top bars in Asia, which is right now at number 4, and the guy who owns it has won Asia's Mentor of the Year.
Okay. Oh.
So he's the industry icon for Asia this year.
Ben Fiddich or something.
So
like
his
that?
name is Kayama-san.
Okay.
That's how we
Yeah.
address him. But he runs this bar called the Benfitic over there, which is based on a farm. So he
Right.
likes anything very organic and
Exotic in a way.
and things
Okay.
like that. So he flew down specially for it.
Oh wow!
And
Especially for FENI.
Yes, and we spend 3 days with him, and he was mind blown with the whole process and how things.
Very nice.
And it's like one of his favorites at that moment.
Okay.
So that's where I decided the day he came down, I decided I'm going to save some money and I'm going to go for a holiday. No matter what is happening to the world,
Right.
I'm going.
Yeah.
So, and after 3 years, there was a Tokyo bar show happening.
Okay.
That's where I decided I will go and check this out
Okay.
and see what a bar show is like an international bar show, what level it is at.
Yeah.
And also meet people in that bar show.
Okay.
And I just told Miho-san and Kayama-san that I'm coming down for a holiday. He said, would you like to do a seminar for us?
Oh, nice.
I would like the bartenders of Tokyo understand
Yeah.
how much and why I love FENI.
Okay.
And again, translation is a problem there, right? So because Miho speaks English very fluently, it was easy for me to do a seminar, and then it
Okay.
made sense. So I was like, makes sense, let's do a seminar. And we had like 20 bartenders who came down from
Nice.
different
Yeah, I
parts.
saw the image, the pictures on Instagram.
And she made a nice presentation in Japanese, and then we spoke about the process and everything.
Awesome.
And the most interesting part was there's this one bartender young boy, who came with a big book which was written by one of the legends right now who has rediscovered a lot of history.
Okay.
This guy's name is Dave Woodrich.
Okay.
And in that he's written a small chapter on FENI.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And we
okay.
were debating about a process where he keeps saying that out here it mentions it's triple distill.
Right.
Okay.
And right now we are gone back to double distill.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was debating with him, but I couldn't because again, there's language barrier. I was saying I've got a book which is written not by history, not by a historian, but by history itself,
Right.
which says that in 1586 it mentions that we double distill.
Okay.
Because why would you put more money and triple distill and water something down? Putting water and alcohol at that time was
Yeah.
taboo.
Yeah.
But I was so excited to see a young boy sitting with a big book who's already researched before I could come there
Wow.
for the
Nice,
session.
amazing.
And that's what Japan is. So I went there to study the business of bars, of small bars, of bars that are 20 covers, because it's something that suits the tavern concept of Goa, which is something that Goa should revive in the bar culture, and something I'm also looking forward to.
Okay.
And seeing how I could do that. But to understand how to make money out of 20 covers, there's no bar in India that could explain you that.
Right. Okay.
So I wanted to see that, and that's what Benfitic is. That's what the top bars in Japan is. It's a complete intimate experience of sitting, talking over drinks and enjoying. And what is the cost and value and how do they manage that is what I went to see.
Got it.
But also build my confidence of how people look at FENI from an international perspective as compared to how we in Goa look at FENI from our perspective.
Right.
Like, I mean, the general ideology of FENI would be like, I would rather serve him a single malt. I'll serve my guest a single malt. Because if I serve him FENI, I'll look like I'm being cheap.
Okay.
It's a general thought. So everybody will drink a lot of FENI in Sanjao and Carnival and will enjoy it themselves.
Okay.
And they'll give someone to try. But when you're having a feast, you see if someone would be like, today we're going to celebrate with FENI. It's not the thing. You will celebrate with a champagne.
Yeah.
You will celebrate with...
So poor man's alcohol, that kind of concept.
That thought process has to evolve.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm trying to do with this whole... and get along with Hansel and trying to push this whole market by getting an international review about the same.
Okay. All right. I think we
Yeah,
better
thank
wind
you.
up.
We
Thank
have
you
to.
so
I
much,
know.
Karl.
Same time.
And guys, if you're listening, if you have any suggestions, feedback, please send us an email on kissmeI'mGoan@gmail.com. And also, please share it with your friends, like the Goenkars all around the world. And thank you, Neil.
Thank you. Sorry, from my end, I just want to say we're looking forward to the day where Goa starts exporting FENI.
Yeah.
Or at least India starts exporting FENI. So
So
we can
they
get
do export,
Okay.
but I mean, yes,
we
the
have to
proper...
do a part two.
Yeah.
But we have to do a part two on this.
We'll leave that for part 2.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Great.
much,
Thank you,
Karl,
thank
for
you.
making time.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you for
much.
having me. It's been a great pleasure to be here with you all.
And I believe you end all interesting conversations with a cup of FENI and say Saud.
Saud.
So let's end on Saud, guys. Cheers.
Moga,
Cheers.
and
Yeah, Moga,
spread
Su.
the mog. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers,
Thank
cheers.
you.
Thanks.
Cheers.